Welcome to Stormy Willow, where we explore the paranormal, celebrate the odd, and never trust the living. I'm your host, Sarah, Fidget Fairy.
And I'm your host, Adele, anxious recluse.
And together, we are Stormy Willow when our powers combine.
When our powers combined, you change the channel.
Obviously, some people change the channel based on what's happening today. Some people need some good old Captain Planet in their life.
I mean, I'm a planeteer, and you can be one too. Because
Right.
saving the planet is the thing to do.
Whoa. That's awesome. Just hitting us with wisdom from Captain Planet right off the bat. Well, we want to say happy Easter to you guys, or happy 420, happy spring, whatever you're celebrating. Well, speaking of a community that has fun, I have a really sweet book or news story, guys. Like, this isn't a crazy one.
Oh,
Just
okay.
a real sweet, nostalgic, and just maybe a little haunted by the reality we're living in. 'Cause, we gotta make it a little funky. So let's talk about Chelsea, Michigan. Have you heard of it? I've not heard of it.
I've heard
But
Chelsea, New York.
yeah, me too. Well, Chelsea, Michigan is a town of over 5,000 where everybody probably knows your dog's name, your darkest secret, that kind of town. Probably know your mama and papa. Like, yeah, that scene. But this is a place where Serendipity Books needed to move their shop down 300, like down the street. So 300 townsfolk showed up to help, and they literally, get this, they literally like made lines, and they like moved these books by hand, like individually, like they formed like a chain, like a little human chain. And so they formed this human chain, and they passed 9,100 books down the block. Like, what?
They should
No
get used to it,
boxes.
though, with all the factory jobs coming back here.
I'm going to tell you what, no boxes, no chaos. Just chatter about good reads and gentle roasting of titles, folks, that, they hadn't read yet. Maybe they were like, haha, this looks funny, or, whatever. But guess how long it took them to move 9,100 books? Any guesses?
Couple of hours?
Less than 2 hours.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
I'm pretty impressed. 300 people, 9,100 books, less than 2 hours. And the books landed back on the shelves in alphabetical order, which feels a little like witchcraft to me. And the most wonderful way. So the owner, Michelle Tuplin, called it a practical way to move books, but we call it proof that when a community cares about something, they show up. And so whether it's for a bookstore, a neighbor, or just a good old-fashioned paranormal panic, we see that the community likes to come out for those. We are here for it. But just for 1 second, while this town rallied around this bookstore, right? Like it was the heart of the village. Because let's face it, our libraries and indie bookshops, they are our heart of our small towns, and we have to just take a moment to say that they're under siege, as you know. This whole banned book crap, the defunding, the attacks on intellectual freedom, it's just a bunch of crap. So we just wanted to kind of, I don't know, like it almost feels like we're in the middle of a slow motion horror story, right? We're like we're attacking the public library for God's sakes. And so anyway, we just want to say that we think that library indie bookstores, they're worth fighting for. They really are. And I think it's really cool how this book brigade showed up for the shop owner and did this. Like, I thought it was really awesome. And we, I don't know, I just thought it was a super sweet story, just especially with all the shit that's going on. So good job, Chelsea.
Yeah, sense of community.
Yes, like I just thought that was so cool.
Community what?
Right? And I mean, and I just can't believe, like, 2 hours, 9,100 books, 300 folks. Like, that's, and it seems like they didn't have a lot of waste, like with the boxes and a moving truck and just all the things. Like, they just really band together and got this done. They band in the right way to do something good.
we
So
go. But I'm just saying the best way to instantly get people to really, really want to read your book is to have it banned. So,
true.
way to go. I mean, obviously that's done such a good thing with like, I don't know, drugs and whatnot.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so go support your local library and just like your local folks in general, like they could use it, use some loving. But speaking of some loving, you're not gonna be feeling much of that this week.
What happened?
uh,
It was such a good week last week.
oh, well, you better buckle up, friends, because this week's a shit show.
Mm,
All right, are you ready?
no.
This is your astro forecast for the week of April 21st through the 27th. And of course, here we go, starting off with Monday, April 21st. Partly suspicious skies. So the moon enters Scorpio, and so it's going to be given murder podcast energy. Trust issues brew under the surface like a swamp about to bubble. So don't poke the gator, friends, unless you're ready for a tail whip.
Oh, okay.
Vibe. Keep your secrets close and your receipts closer.
The hell?
Dun, dun, dun. I don't know what that means, but
We're
it
all
sounds
getting audited from the IRS that's
maybe.
not staffed anymore.
Maybe. I don't know, but we're off to a great start because then we're going to roll into Tuesday with some emotional downpours, friends. So, Scorpio moon plus Venus square Pluto. Something stinks worse than boiled eggs at a family reunion. Venus and Pluto stir up jealousy, obsession, or perhaps a desperate urge to you better define this relationship energy. So
Ooh,
people may lash out when what they really need is just a nap or a juice box. So
that's true all the
Hyper
time.
Tuesday, just proceed with caution. Do not text your ex. Don't do something stupid. Like if you're feeling hangry, just go eat. Don't try to text someone or, do something silly. Okay. All
Okay.
right. Wednesday, high wind advisory in effect.
Mm,
We
okay.
have Mercury causing me, remember that? And
Causing
so
causing me pain, sounds like.
he causing me a pain in my ass. So we have a Sun Mercury conjunction. So Mercury is reborn in the heart of the sun. A moment, maybe just a moment, of some mental clarity flies through like a wind. Okay, it sounds like after Monday or Tuesday we might need that. But you might get this stroke of genius or suddenly remember what that one weird dream meant. So either way, hang on to your wig. It's gonna be wild. You might just be remembering things or calling things, and I don't know. It just sounds like a day in the fog kind of energy.
Ew.
And then Thursday, we have a cold front moving in.
Ugh. It just snowed here in New Mexico, by the way, yesterday. Like, what the hell?
Adele did not get her hammock nap time.
You can tell.
Yeah, she's like,
I'm
no.
feeling some kind of way.
Yeah, you already did go get a juice box.
I had a coffee already because I needed caffeine.
You didn't never drink coffee.
I know. I was not having it today because my plans for the weekend got snowed upon. And it sounds like everybody's life is about to next week. So that's great.
Well, let's talk about this cold front. We've got this Sagittarius moon, okay? And things are gonna lighten up like someone cracked a window in a haunted house. So I was thinking something else, like maybe cracked a fart in a haunted house.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what I
That's
think.
where I was going to. But after the emotional swamp earlier in the week, you're ready to get your feelings into the sky and escape. So you might be feeling like this daydream vibe, this hey, let's take a road trip vibe, or what if we get the green light vibe on this project or whatever. So I don't know why they call it like a cold front because you might be vibing high, but apparently a cold front's going to kill your buzz. So maybe just hold on to that sweetness and let it go because it looks like a buzzkill's coming. So
Great.
don't dream. It's over. Damn it. And you're going to love this one. Friday, April the 25th, you're going to feel hot and bothered, friends. So we literally have a cold front, and then you're getting hot and bothered the very next day. So the moon is going to trine Sun and Mercury in fire sign Aries. So when a fire sign takes the wheel, you're going to feel bold, loud, ready to do something crazy like cut your bangs or quit your job or tell your neighbor that their porch skeleton needs to go.
Oh, so you're
So
getting drunk.
so basically you're going to get drunk and you're going to tell somebody about themselves. But just remember, though it is so important to speak your truth, just maybe not all of it. Don't be hurtful or go off on somebody that may not deserve it. Just kind of keep it reined in a little bit. But think big Leo energy with the side of, oops, did I say that out loud? Like, just maybe
That's
just.
so unclassy of a Leo. A Leo would never, that must be the Aries.
You're like, that is not Leo
That is,
energy.
don't, we're both fire signs, but we're on two different sides of the sun. Okay.
And last but not least, you made it to the weekend, April 26th through the 27th, where you can expect chaotic with a chance of epiphanies. Pluto is going to station retrograde. Plus, we have a full moon in Scorpio that Monday. And so things are going to get intense really fast. So you'll feel the storm system creeping in all weekend, like when your Meemaw says she feels the change coming, or there's a storm of brewing, is what our pawpaw would say.
They smell
Um,
snakes.
yeah. So you can expect shadows to rise, truths to leak, and something might need to die metaphorically or literally if it's a bad habit. Vibe check for the weekend. Prepare your spirit for a Scorpio full moon purge. Light a candle, burn the past, delete the text. So this week's going to start pretty wild and crazy and bold, and it's going to end with emotional fireworks. So Scorpio will be lurking, friends. Pluto is stirring the pot, and Mercury gives us a brief psychic Wi-Fi connection. Ride the highs, respect the lows, and for the love of the stars, don't trust a text that says, "Hey, stranger."
Oh God, yeah. Okay.
And that is your weekend and weekday disaster of a forecast coming at you in just a couple hours. So back to you, Adele.
I'm gonna say it's not gonna be as bad as it sounds.
Well, what if it's all political? Like, what if this stuff is all just for like the bad people?
You see
Running
that that's kind of what I've been finding lately, where I'm like, I'm not personally having all of this, but I'm seeing it like more in the collective and playing out in public.
Yeah, and I will say, do you remember when we read in the forecast about like the watcher text chains and then all that shit blew up? So maybe this will
Yeah.
just be more of that sort of stuff. It won't be stuff that we'll be necessarily feeling, but maybe we'll be watching and listening.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hopefully.
Just watch it go down. Join us and
Yeah.
watch it go down.
Yeah, like maybe that will be what we're doing. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We got some fireworks.
Yeah. Well, great.
Yeah,
Well, on that note, I landed on a cryptid
sure did.
very last time. Um, so I say we get into it because this one's pretty fun, and I'm gonna try to mix in some sound bites and things. We'll see if
I
that
love it.
works. But first off, let me just give you a well-deserved intro. You're out in the woods. It's quiet. Too quiet. Then you see it. 7 feet tall, glowing eyes, walking on 2 legs. It's not a bear, it's not a man, and it sure as hell is not Bigfoot.
Oh.
Meet the Dogman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is a creature said to stalk the forests of the Midwest and beyond. And it's
Okay.
definitely, some of our stories tonight are definitely from beyond this area. Um, mostly known as the Michigan Dogman. I think that's where this gets its origin. So some still
Okay.
call it the Michigan Dogman, though sightings have been elsewhere. As it's famously known, has been creeping people out since the 1800s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and tonight we're diving into its eerie origins, chilling real-life sightings, and a few stories so strange they'll have you checking the tree line next time you're camping. So,
Oh, man.
yeah, these
I
are
don't
some,
know. A lot of our stories lately make me second guess camping.
yeah, it's still fun. It's kind of like how I guess how I feel about sharks, like the danger in camping. It's like you're probably not gonna get bothered by anything, but wouldn't it suck if you did?
Yeah. Yeah, it would.
So I don't know, it's a gamble. But yeah, and don't bother bringing a gun. Apparently, it will probably not do anything on this creature.
Okay. You're
So,
screwed. Maybe bring a dog treat.
yeah, there you go. Bring a bag and strip.
Yeah. Like, it's not a gun. It's bacon.
Yeah, maybe offer him friendship instead of mean,
Yeah.
instead of cruelty.
Nice little tennis ball.
Yeah,
Little snack. Fine.
he just wants to be friends.
Well, like the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, right?
He just needs some good guidance and a friend. That's all.
Just be a role model, that's all.
Exactly right.
We all just
We
need
need to redo that show, Role Models, and make the kids like cryptids.
or the role models.
That's gonna be whenever we're Stormy Willow Productions.
You just wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, well let's go back, way back to the beginning of the sightings here. So picture it, Michigan, 1887. The logging industry is booming, and two lumberjacks out in Wexford County see something that doesn't make sense. A creature walking on two legs with the head of a dog. It's massive, it's fast, and just like that, it disappears. From there, the sightings keep piling up. In 1937, a man in Michigan claimed he was attacked by a pack of wild dogs while walking near a wooded stretch of road. But what truly terrified him wasn't their teeth, it was the fact that one of the creatures stood upright. Not like a bear on its hind legs, not clumsy or off balance, this thing walked with purpose like a man wearing the wrong skin. He ran and he never walked that road again after seeing this thing. And then there's the story of the fisherman, one that circulated through small towns along Michigan's lakes. He was out alone, casting from the shore, when a group of wild dogs appeared, kind of similar to the prior story. And at first they kept their distance, but then one separated from the group, and it didn't growl, didn't charge, it just stared. And then it stood smoothly, like it had done it hundreds of times before. It held eye contact long enough for the fisherman to feel like prey, and he dropped his gear and ran without looking back. And then in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the Dogman becomes an open secret in parts of Michigan. People talk about it in whispers like it's a small town horror mascot, and no one really wants to confirm if it's true or not. Interestingly, Steve Cook, a local DJ and storyteller from Michigan, released his song in 1987 called The Legend. And this started as an April Fool's Day prank about the Dogman appearing every year, ending in 7. And it ended up hitting a little too close to home, though. So the lyrics referencing eerie events from the 50s and 60s, like a man reportedly found dead near Paris, Michigan in 1957.
Uh-oh.
With claw-like injuries across his chest, and a 1967 case where teens swore they saw a tall, dog-like creature staring at them from a field near Belmont. So no one's quite sure whether those stories inspired the lyrics or the lyrics inspired the stories at this point. But the overlap is hard to ignore, and the timing is just eerie enough to make you wonder. And after the song aired, dozens of listeners started calling in with their own stories, which makes you ask, was it really just a prank?
Yeah.
And but the joke's on him because dozens, oh sorry, I already said that. So, it's like he kind of put it out as a joke, and then all these people were like, but I'm really seeing this thing. But now let's get into actual first-person encounters because I always love
Okay.
these.
Me
Um,
too.
so now let's talk about the people who actually came face to face with the Dogman. And there's actually an entire podcast that I found that's just called Dogman Encounters. And
Wow.
that's all it's about. And it has hundreds of episodes. And we're going to be reviewing some of that. So the podcast is called Dogman Encounters Radio, and its host is Vic Cundiff. He interviews people who say they've seen the creature themselves. And I personally love that he usually asks each guest which werewolf it looks like from a movie, so you can kind of get a reference
Yeah,
of
that's pretty cool.
the wolf it looks like. But first up, we have Debra. So
And I
meet
told Adele
Debra.
when we started, I was like, I love a Debra.
I kind of picked some of the ones that just kind of I vibed with.
Yeah.
So,
Deborah's never disappoint.
I mean, this Debra, she's hard as nails too, man.
I love it.
This lady saw something. She does not scare easy. So, a self-proclaimed huntress from Tennessee who grew up with coon dogs and carries a sidearm like it's part of her skin.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so she doesn't scare easy, and she had a few encounters with the Dogman.
Of course.
One of those happened in May when she and her husband went squatch hunting for his birthday. So I already kind of like these people. So he wanted to go on a Bigfoot hunt because, you know, he just thought that would be fun. So they go on his birthday.
Yeah.
They don't see Bigfoot, but they encounter something else.
Oh, man.
So as they began to turn off the gravel road into a more remote area, Debra got a bad feeling. Then the headlights caught a pair of red eyes, huge, glowing like bike reflectors just off the tree line. A creature was hiding behind a tree. She said it looked like the werewolf from Bad Moon. Big, muscular, you could see the skin under the fur, and then it was gone. Later that night, they were down by the creek near a riverbank. Debra still had that uneasy feeling. They got out of the car when she thought she heard coon hunters in the distance, but the sounds morphed. And let's hear what she has to say about that.
Hey, Deborah, take it away.
It wasn't the season for coon hunting, and I heard what sounded like a big old walker dog or blue cow baying down hard on something. It was like, boo! And I was like, hey, do you hear that? Do you hear that? And he looks at me and he's like, what? And I was like, listen. And I busted out my phone. And I caught the tail end of it on my phone. And again, I hear a big, huge boo, like a hound dog baying down on the track. But the hound dog went from baying like boo to the crazy coyote sound like boo, like coyote screaming. And then that's when I knew it was a huge coyote. And then I could hear the rest of the pack chiming in. And I had my phone recording it. And I was like, this is a huge coyote pack going crazy. I was far enough away from the coyotes to where me having my phone out, there's no way they could have seen a lot from it. They immediately stopped. So I cut my phone off and I wait in silence. And then I hear there's these big rocks on the train trestle. They're probably 10 or 20 pounds apiece, giant rocks. I start hearing those rocks whizzing all over the place, hitting the ground. And then the coyote pack goes crazy, like absolutely crazy, squealing and hollering like they're super excited or scared. I don't know what. I can hear their feet hitting the ground, running. I don't know if they're running after something or running from something, but it scared me enough to where...
All right, so that was actually Deborah's account of what she was hearing. So obviously she's a huntress and familiar with these sounds, but it sounds like these animals were acting very unusual and possibly hurling these massive rocks somehow that weigh like 20 pounds plus. But yeah, she described first hearing a single dog howl, then a pack of what sounded like coyotes, and then crashing rocks. And it seemed like something was getting closer and that it was big. And then at that time, she looked at her husband, got in the car, loaded her gun, cracked the car window, and got ready for whatever was coming, but nothing showed itself. And then a few days later, they returned to the area with their son this time. And this time her son spotted something, two massive glowing yellow eyes watching them from the trees. When he hit it with a spotlight, the creature didn't flinch. It just stared back at them, so it was not afraid.
Yeah.
And she snapped a photo and later tried to like kind of spot check the size, like using the trees as reference. And she said this thing had to at least be 6 feet tall. And that's when the fear really hit her, realizing how close it was and how big it was. And she told the host of Dogman Encounters Radio she knew her gun wouldn't make a dent in this creature. And that realization is what scared her the most. There's like no
Yeah, or something she could have done. Yeah.
yeah. So that's just one. So I mean, this lady, Deborah, it seems like she had multiple witnesses with her husband and her son, and I don't know. This thing does not sound like a normal animal she's
Well,
usually.
and Deborah to me seems like someone, like you said, like she's in nature a lot. She knows like normal nature sounds. And so
Yeah,
and then just knowing that something's off, like I feel like she's someone that, she hunts and stuff, so she knows what's normal sounds are and things. So for her to
yeah,
kind of be like, oh, something's not right. It's
yeah,
good that she has that experience. Like I would just say that, and it would be like, an owl or something, and it wouldn't matter. But somebody that spends the time that she does, I think you have to kind of take what she says into account.
yeah. And like her backstory, like they're all country folks. Like they've
Yeah,
been out her whole life. Like she's very familiar with all of these sounds. So I don't know. Take it for what you will, but that's what she claims happened, and it
I
definitely
think it
sounds like a
counts
really
for
scary
something.
encounter.
Yeah, and she sounds like somebody that doesn't scare too easy.
Yeah, she reminds me of like that cowboy lady that we rode horses with,
Oh yeah,
like
yes,
like a cowgirl. Like I wouldn't fuck with her.
yeah. I felt safe with her.
Yeah,
I
right. It's like
understand.
she could defend herself for sure.
Yeah,
So to see someone kind of like really really tough get a little bit afraid, that's always scary.
yeah.
And then there's Chris. Oh, Chris. Chris has total Travis energy, is all I'm gonna say. But that's just my opinion. We'll let you hear from him.
Okay.
All right, so Chris is an outdoorsy type from Warsaw, Indiana. So this is not
Okay.
in Michigan, right? Neither, like, so he does seem to have sightings out. The dog man is
Yeah.
sighted outside of Michigan.
There's several packs. It sounds like.
Apparently. And he claims to have seen more than just the dog man. According to him, he once encountered another strange creature with his brother Russell. If you're getting a picture of this, it was like a creature from the Black Lagoon kind of thing. So anyway, he mentions that for a little bit, and then we get into the dog man encounter.
Okay.
His dog man his dog man encounter happened in late fall. So it was November or December of the late 90s, around 3 a.m. And he was out driving around near a field with his friend Dave, which already just kind of sounds suspicious to me. Like what?
And maybe
I
they
don't
were
know.
gonna go hunting. Like, don't hunters get up kind of early?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
but they're just kind of
I-
cruising around 3 a.m. in the
They
fall.
left the bar. They're getting ready to go
Right.
hunting. That's what I'm imagining is probably going down.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
You can decide. Whatever. I'm just gonna tell the story. And as he tells it, they weren't doing anything bad. They were just kind of like hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of got the feeling they were probably up to something. Just because I know these kinds of, you'll see
Yeah.
when you hear him. And in his headlights, he saw it. He says he saw a dogman about 8.5 feet tall,
All right, big boy.
600 pounds, and no tail.
600 pounds.
Yeah, so this thing would have to be bigger than a bear by far. 600 pounds, but I don't know what makes him estimate that. Anyway, he claims it was probably 600 pounds, and he said it looked like a dog face stretched over a Batman mask, kind of.
Okay. Okay.
And one of the first details he focused on were the claws. He described them looking like black stilettos. And Chris and Dave sat frozen in shock as the creature casually walked right down the road in front of them, and it didn't act aggressive. They had guns, he says, and but he didn't think that would help. He also is like, this thing would not even, like, a bullet would do nothing to it. It'd be like shooting Jaws, I guess.
So that's like the second person that says the bullet would not.
Yeah, so that's the second person with a gun who just feels like that wouldn't even do anything. And instead of calling anyone or reporting it, they drove straight to Chris's cousin's house. Woke him up at 3 a.m. to
It's
this.
like, wait, what? Stiletto
Um,
fingers? What?
Right. Like, why are you waking me up with this? And here's where things get a little off. So
Chris.
this is a funny part I'm gonna share with you. So Chris originally contacted the show saying the Dogman chased him when he was driving there, and during the interview, Vic, the host, he kind of calls him out on it, like nicely but firmly, for the inconsistencies. And Chris kind of explains, and then Chris kind of explains it more, and then it unfolds that this was actually a suppressed memory that he's had, and it was suppressed for 20 years. So it just gets more and more bizarre the longer the interview goes. So it's like he allegedly had this encounter in the late 90s, but only recently remembered it. So I don't know. There's just like a lot, but let's just hear a little bit from him himself, kind of getting called out by Vic. It's at least entertaining, I think. A little bit awkward.
There's not many woods. There's a few. You know, I was just really, really scared that, this thing might get hold of somebody's children, because I don't think this thing's eating mulberries.
No, definitely not with the carnivore, so it's not eating mulberries. That's for sure. But the first time we spoke about your encounter, you told me it came after you went past it.
No, I don't remember it ever coming after me, actually. If I said that, then I must have been misremembering. I'm sitting here thinking now, when I took the headlights off of it, that was the last I saw of it. Now, my buddy might have been keeping an eye on it more, but it scared him a lot more than it did me. He was freaking out. The last time I seen it, it didn't even look at us. It didn't, like I said, I had it full on from its left shoulder, looking to its right, So I don't know what it did. When I took the lights off of it, I was just trying to get out of there.
Huh, I see. You told me that it chased the car, that it came after you guys. So, yeah.
I think I was talking about it. One of the shows I was watching of yours where one came out and grabbed the front of somebody's vehicle and slowed him down.
No, that was episode 190 with Brandon Close. No, when we spoke, you said that it actually came after your car, that you and Dave were in, so I was a little confused by that.
No, it didn't come after us. Not that I seen it didn't. No, it just ignored us. It didn't even look at us.
Okay, good. Well, that's a lot better than an alternative then. It definitely is.
Yeah.
From what I understand, you suppressed the memory of that encounter for years. How long was it that you suppressed the memories, and what jarred your memories to come back?
So that's kind of a taste of that interview with Chris.
I love how Chris calls out his friend. It's like, oh, he was way more scared.
Right.
That was pretty funny. I'm like, Chris, come on now.
So,
you're scared too, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, you can listen obviously to all of these. I will, link them in the show notes. If you
Yeah,
want
it sounds like a great pod that Vic's got going on.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a good podcast. But I don't know. Vic was being a good host and trying to get down to the truth, I think, of these and pushing appropriately, I think. So
yeah, he did a great job.
This was a really fun interview. I kind of have credibility issues with this guy. Sorry, Chris. It's just, it wasn't as cohesive as Debra's story and other folks, so I don't know. Either way, maybe it was a really scary encounter. And maybe this is true, or maybe Chris just loves a good cryptid tale. I don't know. It just raised my red flags with, like, you saw a creature from the Black Lagoon with your brother Russell, too. Like,
what are the chances?
Or is it kind of like UFOs, where if you see one, all the paranormal follows you? Like, I don't know.
It could. Or, maybe there are some suppressed memories, and it just gets a little confusing. I remember how they, how Chris is recalling things. I don't know.
Yeah. So, anyway, I just...
Yeah, he's fun.
I just thought it was fun that Vic pushed a little bit, and then I got the sense that Vic was trying to nicely be like, if I knew this didn't happen, I probably wouldn't have interviewed you.
Well, and I feel like it sounds to me, and I don't know, this is the first time I've heard of the show, but it sounds like he really is trying to get to the heart of the matter, and really group like the similarities and things. So yeah, it's probably like, man, I'm sure it's hard to find people that want to come forward. Or there might be a ton of people like Chris that want to come forward. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, he's even had like people on the show multiple times too, who have had multiple encounters.
Wow.
Kind of like Debra. But yeah, I mean, he has a lot of people call in and report having encounters with the Dogman.
And that's gotta feel like, if you've had an encounter like that, one, I just can't imagine like what that would feel like. I can't even put myself in your shoes of how we would process something like that, right? But it's probably so nice to hear that okay, I'm not the only one, or somebody that has the same similarities of what you experience, that has to bring some sort of relief of feeling like, okay, I didn't make this up, or you know what I mean? 'Cause I would imagine seeing something like that, and you try to talk about it, people might even be like, okay, whatever. Like,
Yeah, maybe they should start a support group.
for real, like, because can you
We should.
imagine? I,
We
I
can do
don't
it on your
know.
behalf, folks. Do you want a support group? We can make it happen.
Cryptid support group, yeah. I
Cryptid
mean,
encounters.
that would be like if you cryptid encounters, yeah.
Cryptid Encounters Recovery Group.
Yes. If you see something like that, like, how do you talk about it? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, speaking of people who have multiple encounters, kind of like Debra, next we have Ryan. He's going to be my last one. And I think he might be my favorite. So Ryan's from North Georgia, and if this was a movie, he would totally be that like dorky but lovable kind of cryptid obsessed guy who knows way too much about legends and won't stop talking about them around the
oh,
campfire.
heck yeah,
that
he
type.
sounds fun. So the Dogman's made it all the way to the south.
Yeah, like this guy, if you've ever seen the movie Role Models, the little like ginger guy at the campsite.
No.
Guy. Yes. But anyway, so his first Dogman encounter happened in the summer of 2017 while off-roading late at night with two friends. Colin, a fellow country boy, and Walker, who he jokes was the city guy, kind of tagging along.
He was from Atlanta.
Yeah. And they were on a dirt trail after midnight, cutting through the woods in a Jeep after a rainy week, so it's pretty muddy. And they stopped for a pee break, and that's when they heard it howl. But not like anything they'd heard before. It was more like a scream howl hybrid that echoed across the trees. As they pushed into a more difficult stretch of trail, their headlights caught movement. Something was on all fours ahead of like where their lights are, and at first Ryan assumed it was a bear, kind of balled up on the trail, but then it stood.
The thing that I noticed right away was its coat. Its coat absorbed every bit of light that those headlights were putting off. Like I said, these were full aftermarket housing LED headlights, specifically for Wranglers, specifically for off-roading. They are stupidly bright, and they reflect off of everything. They did not reflect off of this Dogman's coat. It absorbed it like a black hole. And that was the thing that stood out to me initially. I was like, wow. I was like, the coat on that bear is unlike anything I've ever seen. I've seen brown bears, I've seen black bears. In my travels out west, I've seen grizzly bears. I had never seen a bear that had a coat like that. Well, that's when it stood up. And I very quickly realized that that was not a bear. So it stood up, and this thing on its back legs, probably in relation to how big my Jeep was maybe 7.5, 8 feet at the most tall. It was huge. And Walker, he's like, that's a werewolf. I'm like, no. I was like, I didn't know what it was, but I was trying to calm him down because the last thing I needed was him freaking out. I was like, no. I was like, it's a bear. I was like, you're good. It's just a bear. It's got mange. It's a bear. I was just trying to play it off. And then it just was gone. A snap. It was gone. It just disappeared.
So yeah, they think it looked like a werewolf. And they continue driving onto the most difficult part of the trail now. And they're a little bit more rattled. They wanted to, they were kind of discussing it, I guess, as they went, trying to rationalize what the heck that was. And then came another screech, but it was closer this time. And they caught it right out on their rear this time, so it's like only visible by the brake lights behind them, which sounds super creepy. So it's dark, they hear this noise, now it's only visible in the brake lights right behind them.
Oh no.
Yeah. And Ryan said it filled the entire rear window of his Jeep. And its claws slashed clean through that Jeep's rag top kind of like plasticky window.
Oh no.
It cleanly cut through it. So those claws must have been razor sharp. And then fast forward a couple
stiletto sharp,
right? Sharp as stilettos.
Stilettos
but yeah, he said that the Jeep's plastic window was cut like butter, like just a nice easy cut.
Oh.
And if you've ever messed around with those or seen them, like they're not easy to cut through. It wouldn't be clean cut without something very
Right.
sharp. And then fast forward a couple of years, and Ryan's next encounter takes place somewhere a little less scenic, prison in Jenkins County, Georgia.
Oh no.
So he had gotten locked up after what he says was a stolen identity situation
Right.
tied to a sketchy Jeep financing company. Hence the first story, that Jeep kind of caused all this trouble. So anyway, according to him, someone used his identity after a data breach from that company, and it landed, and they did some like dark web stuff, and it landed him in jail for 4 years. And he went on a whole rigmarole about Georgia's policies on stuff, but anyway. So nonviolent crime, it sounds like they just spent a lot of money that he kind of, I don't know. Anyway, he ended up in jail for it. And of all places, this is when his next encounter occurred with the Dogman.
Hour and a half problem. So they would avoid everything that they could to put us on lockdown. So the fact that they put us on lockdown told us that something major had happened, but we couldn't figure out what. Well, we finally were able to find out. And he said, well, he goes, I'll tell y'all. He goes, but y'all cannot tell anyone that it came from me. He said, the farmer that owns all of the land behind this prison, he said, he woke up this morning and he found 2 of his cows clean sliced down the middle, just mutilated. He said, just a precision slice right down the middle. He goes, 2 completely separate halves. And on top of that, he was missing 2, 3, 4, I forget the number of goats. He had a bunch of livestock, but he was missing a number of goats. And he found the carcasses of the goats on the other side of his property in the woods. And when I say other side of property, I'm not talking about you're walking from one side of your backyard to the other. I'm talking about you're having to get in a side-by-side and you have to take a 5-10 minute ride, 2.5 miles to the other side of the property. And they could not figure out how the goats got out of the pen because he had an actual enclosure for the goats.
And then the following night, around 1:30 a.m., Ryan heard the howling that he recognized from that first encounter. He heard it again, and he's like, I know exactly what that is. And then the next day, things escalated. So while out in the rec yard, dozens of inmates spotted a dark figure in the distance. First, they saw the ears, then it stood. Ryan said it was the exact same thing, the dark-coated Dogman, and only this one had to be at least 11 feet tall, so way bigger than the 8-foot tall. And it was broad
Like
daylight
a movie.
time. What's that?
This is like a movie.
Right?
And it's like I've experienced this, guys.
Well, that's kind of what he gets at. So yeah, it was broad daylight, and even the hardest inmates panicked. One guy they called Old School swore it was a demon. And then weeks later, another sighting just before dusk. The perimeter patrol truck screeched to a halt and backed up hard. The officer inside yelled for lockdown, and then moments later, the power went out. And according to one of the more talkative guards, Officer Barnes is the one spilling all the tea to Ryan, some of the inmates, and what's going on. He said it wasn't a coincidence. He said a creature had sliced clean through the electric perimeter fence, taking out the power when it did that. Yeah, so that was Ryan. There again, I'll link all of these episodes, but yeah, so another person with multiple encounters with the Dogman. And so I guess the final question is, what the heck are we dealing with here? The Dogman walks upright. It has claws. It has glowing eyes. And it's weirdly human-like, right? Like, it seems to be locking eye contact with people, not fearful of them. And how it can walk upright on 2 legs with such ease. Witnesses describe it as tall, usually between 7 and 11 feet tall, muscular, and built more like a man than a beast. Its coat is often reported as jet black, and sometimes so dark it doesn't even reflect light. It's like that really, really dark color that like absorbs all of the light. And the vibe, it's unmistakably predatory, but not chaotic, right? Like, it stalks, it watches, it shows itself on purpose even, you might say, and then it just completely disappears. And across all of these eyewitness accounts, from Debra's red-eyed roadside moments to Chris's stiletto-clawed stalker, To Ryan's prison yard terror, the Dogman never attacks, though. He doesn't attack any of these people. It intimidates. It corners, it leaves you changed, and guns don't seem to matter. People freeze and no one walks away feeling the same after an encounter with the Dogman. And somehow it is different from a werewolf. One, like, none of these accounts are saying it's a full moon. So it's like, is this thing a wolf all the time? Perhaps. So maybe there's no transformation. There's also no, like, tortured human origin story. It seems like this thing just exists. So it's not really a werewolf. It's just a wolf person, a dog man, if you will. And yeah, so it's like, it's weird. It's like a real life werewolf without the cursed backstory.
Right.
And some indigenous legends, like those from, I cannot pronounce any of these and I won't even try it, but some of the indigenous folks in the region speak of spirits being, or shapeshifters, kind of taking us back to skinwalkers and things.
I was going to ask that, yeah.
Some indigenous folks, I think, have always thought these things were around, and they are shapeshifters. And they're kind of viewed as guardians of the land to protect certain places from those who don't respect it. And some believe the Dogman is one of these guardians. Not evil, not good, just territorial.
Yeah, that seems to check.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment. But if you cross the line, who knows what it'll do, right? Nobody's really challenged it.
Yeah.
Others say it's a flesh and blood cryptid we just haven't classified yet. Something hiding in our forest, clever enough to avoid capture, but curious enough to make itself seen. That kind of jives too, right?
Yeah, it does.
I don't know. And then there's the Gable film, which, until it was exposed as a hoax, that it was a true, like, you know, like the famous Bigfoot film. It was like that for the Dogman. Like, we've captured it on film, but then it was dismissed as a hoax. And honestly, when you see the film, I would be surprised at why anybody ever thought it wasn't a hoax. It looks very fake. But here's the thing, even after the hoax was revealed, the sightings didn't stop. So if the Dogman's fake, or at least the account in that is fake, what are people actually seeing? So I don't know. It to me sounds like probably maybe like I'm assuming a cryptid. It sounds like a really big creature in the area that people are seeing that we just don't know what it is yet. That's kind of where I'm leaning.
I feel like it's a hybrid too, possibly. It could be a hybrid of
like
two
a human
animals.
dog hybrid.
Like, I don't know, maybe a bear.
It's weird, right?
Who knows? But I mean, I don't know. Like it, I'm not sure what it is, or if it really means harm, or if it is just kind of a watcher, or just kind of a like, maybe it's just as scared of us, but it's just like, oh, like stay away.
Yeah. To me, it sounds like it is a flesh and blood creature, at least from Debra's accounts and the people seeing it with the dog packs, even in the 1800s.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I feel like not a lot of a lot of people really talk about Dogman. I feel
Yeah,
as much as like Sasquatch and all these others. Like I feel like Dogman kind of like about him, but just barely enough. And I feel like that's kind of matches the personality. Like
yeah.
he's not afraid to be seen, but he kind of watches and lurks and
Which does kind of sound like skinwalker stuff, right?
which sounds like skinwalkers.
I don't know. It's hard to tell because, that's what they always say. It's like that kind of off animal, but they're usually not bigger,
Yeah.
which is the one thing that's off to me
But
about
then
that.
you think about like Debra's feelings she had too. Like was she vibing with like like a skinwalker kind of energy vibe?
Or was it like just that lizard
Or
brain
just like she
of all
just
of us that's just like, I'm sensing a predator stalking me right now.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I would be terrified for sure, but because it definitely nothing you have on your person is going to help you probably if it decides to attack you. But it seems like it just wants you to go away almost. Just kind of
Yeah.
like please
Yeah,
leave.
none of these were violent. It does sound more like it's trying to scare you away.
And like with the cattle, it's like, was he just trying to eat?
Yeah, what
Or
was that about?
was,
I mean,
or was it just
if it's an 11-foot tall wolf-ish
it's like I'm
creature,
hungry.
yeah, I guess it has to eat a lot.
It's like I'm really hungry. It's like I'm not bad.
Oh, wasn't that in 2017? Also, that's also a year that ends in 7. It just occurred to me.
Oh, yeah.
So, I
So
don't
I don't
know.
know, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't know what to make of it.
Me,
It definitely sounds like people are seeing something.
yeah, for sure. And it sounds like the encounters are very similar.
Yeah, yeah. Even the
But
ones
I,
that are
I
like
kind of felt
suppressed for
like, and
years.
not that I like want to like go play cards with them or whatever, but it almost seems like he's not like if he wanted to hurt you, it could.
Yeah, it
I
seems
don't
like it could just
like he
rip
doesn't
your
really want
apart.
to. It's just kind of like please, like it seems like he's just like watching and just analyzing. That I mean, I just feel like if it wanted to attack a human, like it wouldn't be real difficult.
Yeah. What I think is interesting about this one is it kind of ties back to, I guess, the Steve Cook 1987 song. It was like now it's so interactive and intermingled. We'll never know. Like, did the stories create the sightings or the sightings
Right.
create the stories? We don't know. It's forever just
Well,
lore now.
what it's 2025, so you got 2 more years to roam free
Yeah,
for another sighting.
that's true. Mhm.
That is a great story, Adele. Thank you.
You're welcome. I guess with that said, we could spin the wheel.
Yes, yes.
So we'll be back next week with a lore story.
Yep, we got a good old-fashioned folklore coming your way.
That sounds good. And then I'll finish out the wheel with presenter's choice. All right.
All right, guys. Well, hope that you buckle up this week.
Bubble wrap yourself.
Bubble wrap, make sure those airbags are on. Like it's gonna be wild. But you know what? We've had wild weeks. And like Adele said earlier in the pod, it may not be happening to us. It might just be for us to view. Let's hope that's the case.
We'll watch it go down the collective and be fine.
It's fine. It's fine. But as we say here on our podcast, oh my goodness, please stay blah 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 blah. Take two. As we say on our podcast, please stay safe out there, friends,
Stay curious.
and never trust the living.
The living.
Or stiletto fingers.
Seriously. Those little shoes are going to walk all over you.
Bye, you guys.
Later, taters.